Hello friends, welcome to my studio. I'm Matthew Bird, and today is a day long overdue for me. Today I am going to be refreshing my palette. I had been using the same palette for I don't even know how long, and it's gotten to be a bit of a mess with colors in the wrong wells, out of order, colors that I don't use much anymore, just taking up space, and new colors that I've been working into my process on the regular, and they really need a better home than just random globs here and there. So I have decided that now is the time. Completely cleaned off my palette, gotten rid of everything that was on there. Gonna start fresh, and I thought, why not throw on the cameras and talk a little bit about that thought process and share it with you. Seems kind of straightforward. You got your palette, you put your colors out, but the more you think about it, there's really a lot that goes into it, and it is going to be something that's different for everyone. It's kind of a personal thing. Depending on even what you paint, it'll vary. If you do portrait, you'll have much more of more flesh tones and the like, and landscape painting has a whole different kind of palette. A lot of artists I know have multiple palettes in their studio. They just move them around. So it is an individual thing, but I thought I would talk a little bit about how I'm approaching it, and maybe it'll help you as you're setting up your colors. So this is my palette. It's a porcelain palette that I think I got from Cheap Joe's. It's probably still there, but this is over 20 years old. I like porcelain palettes because they clean up so nicely, even when dealing with highly staining colors like your phthalos, for example. They can really discolor a plastic palette over time, but clean up very nicely on porcelain. This is also very heavy duty. It's not gonna knock around too much. So it's great for my studio. So I don't travel with this, but it does a great job as a workhorse palette in my studio here. It's a little bit overkill, if I'm going to be frank with you. It's got 30 wells, which is a lot of colors. I don't know that anyone really needs that many colors. I certainly don't use that many colors regularly, but I am going to fill them all up. And as you can see from the full spectrum here of colors, I've got, the rainbow going from yellow to red to blue to green. And then down here is going to be my earth tones. When it comes to how I set up my palette, you'll hear me talk a lot in my classes about warm colors and cool colors, and really developing your eye to be able to see subtle differences in temperature. And it's easy to think, okay, blue, that's a cool color, red, that's a warm color. But I mean, even more granularly, if you think of the color blue, within that spectrum, there is warm blues and cool blues. There's warm reds and cool reds. So I put a lot of weight into that when I'm laying out my palette, the warm and cool aspect of each color, and making sure I have representations of each. So I have a cool yellow, and I'll have a warm yellow, like New Gamboge. And that's often called a split primary palette setup. So that's kind of the backbone of what I'm going to be doing. I do have basic secondary or tertiary colors included, but I have a lot of blues because I like blue. So that's almost an entire side is the blues, because I'm just partial to it. And then the third sort of category that I have is what I would call shortcut colors. A lot of artists call them convenience colors. Those are colors that you might mix up so frequently that you'd rather just have it already in a tube at the ready. So it's a time saver. So I call it a shortcut. Something that's like that might be green gold, for example. Whatever color you find that you kind of go into on the regular, and you just rather have it out there for convenience in a tube or in a well, do that. I have no problem with that, cutting corners where need. So that's kind of the three breakdowns of how I've approached the palette. The warm and cools, my shortcut colors, and then I got my earth tones down here. Again, this is a lot of color. I would say if you are a beginner or you're just starting out, maybe start small, go with a limited palette and get to know your colors, know what you like, as opposed to just copying what another artist is doing, because everybody is different, and you'll get to know what works for you, for your process, for your style, for your vision. I do encourage my students to spend the extra money for professional grade paint. I do think that is an important place to put your funds if you've got them. I am a ambassador of Daniel Smith, so these are all Daniel Smith colors. If you're in my live class, you'll have dot cards, and I'll go over color charts and how to read them, how important they are. If you're taking my online classes, I got PDFs of these, so you have all that information. I love Daniel Smith colors. They've got an incredible range, like I said, more than anyone could ever need or want, but they're super high quality. The colors are very strong, very saturated, and I just know those folks really well. Been out to their facility, toured the place, talked to their chemists, and I'm very comfortable with their quality, their light fastness, their permanence. And no, I'm not paid to say that. I'm just an ambassador for them. And I think any professional grade paint you're going to be in good shape with, as long as you, get to know them, get to know your materials really well. And the other thing that I encourage people to do is just play, experiment, try new things, try new colors, and do some drawdowns like these. All right, so this isn't even every tube that I have. I kind of got tired, but this is a lot of colors. And what I've done here is laid out the color, the manufacturer, whether it's light fast, staining, granulating. If it's multiple pigment, I list each of the pigments. So there's 3 in this case. I've CAD yellow light. And then the circle indicates whether it's transparent, opaque, or semi-transparent. And I do this with all my colors so that I can really just get to know them and refer back and see, what's the staining quality of that color? Is that going to be what I need right now? Things like that. It's a great reference. As good as a color chart is, this has all the same information that the color chart will have. It's just these little tiny squares they're great for at a glance, but I love being able to have a larger surface to analyze the properties of a pigment. So I do encourage that. In getting to know your materials, it's a great way to level up your skills. There's other great resources out there. Lots of other artists have talked about their palettes and their colors. Handprint.com is a great website if you really want to geek out and go down a rabbit hole on sourcing of pigments. Pretty much, anything you want to know about color and pigments, that's a great website and a great resource. So I'm going to get these colors squeezed out, and hopefully that's somewhat illuminating into how I've approached my palette. Like I said, there's lots of different ways, and hopefully you find a way that works for you. And if not, just keep fine tuning until you find the right setup and the right color palette for your work. See you next time. Keep your brushes wet.